Hey guys, what's up? It's MrCrayfish and welcome back to my modding tutorials. In this tutorial today, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to create a directional facing block. So pretty much what this is when you place the block, it's going to rotate depending on the direction you actually placed it. So if you're facing north, it's going to be facing north. If you're facing south, it's going to be facing south. I think you get the point now. Now this is pretty much going to be your first kind of look at block states because we haven't really looked at them yet. So we're going to be looking at a block state called property direction, and this is pretty much something you can use to it's kind of Minecraft's vanilla way of dealing with kind of directional blocks. So we're going to be looking at that. Now, if you haven't already, check out my Patreon. It's where you guys can get access to all the source code of these modding tutorials. So if you somehow happen to get stuck, you can go out and check the code out, compare it to your own code, and see what actually went wrong. All you have to do is pledge at least $1 or more. If you are actually a current Patreon and you're enjoying this series, I highly suggest you head up to the $5 or more because that's going to help me out a lot and keep this series going. But let's get back into the tutorial now, and I just want to quickly show you guys what the final product is going to be before we actually start getting into the code here. So what we're going to be doing in this tutorial today is creating a directional block. So as you can see here, what we're going to be creating is a cheese maker, and if you look at the model here, this arm piece is at the back of every single of one of these kind of containers here, and this is because we're actually rotating the model depending on the direction it is being faced at when it was placed. So this is going to look at block states today, and this is kind of your first look at them as well. This is probably the most simplest tutorial on block states. It gets a lot harder when you start adding in more properties, but we're not going to be doing that. We're just going to be looking at directional blocks today. Now that you've seen that, let's go into the tutorial now. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is creating a new block here. Now you should know how to pretty much create a block if you haven't already. If you haven't, I'll put a card up on the screen right now. So we're going to create a new block here called block cheese maker. Now I know that's not correct terminology, but I'm just going to use it anyway. Then we're going to I was about to burp. Okay, I'm good. We're going to make it here extends block horizontal. So this is pretty much a vanilla class which contains a property here called facing, and this property direction here is the way that we handle directional blocks. Now there's a bunch of things that we've actually got to do here to set this up correctly, because right now just extending it will not do anything. Now I'm just going to make sure my code is formatted correctly here, import the constructor, and then just change that to a public if it does say protected, otherwise we're not going to be able to initialize it. Now first thing that we're going to do is just quickly add in our kind of constants here, where we have our registry and unlocalized name. So pretty simple and straightforward so far. So done that, and then let's just copy. We'll speed up the process here. This is what you guys should do, is literally any code that you're going to reuse, just do that, and then we can just do literally cheesemaker, and that saved us a lot of time of typing out there. Now we've got to override a bunch of methods here to actually make this basically work properly. Now first thing that we've actually got to do here is, still in the constructor, we've got to call a method called set default state, and this is going to be the default state of your block. If there's no state at all, it's going to resort to this pretty much. So we're going to do set default state, and inside of it we're going to call this dot block state dot get base state with property, or in like how I like to say it, set property. So we're going to do set the property of facing equal to enum facing dot north. So facing here is pretty much an enum facing. When we actually do get property facing, it's going to return an enum facing. So we've done that now. The next method we've got to return or override is when the block is actually placed. So this is going to handle when we actually place the block, it's going to set the direction of it. So there's a method here called onBlockPlaced. Put that back onto over there. Then what we're going to do is simply after this super.onBlockPlaced here, at the end here we're going to do with property, and as I said already, with property is pretty much set property. So set the property of facing equal to the direction the placer was facing. So in the parameters of onBlockPlaced here, we have this here called facing. That is pretty much the direction whoever was placing that block was facing. So we're going to set the facing of this block here to the direction of the person that faced it. I said that a billion times then, but you get my point. Now the next thing that we've got to do is convert the block state back into its metadata form. Now metadata isn't gone from Minecraft. That was a big kind of thing that a lot of people said. It's really not gone. It's still there, or there'd be no possible way to actually save blocks, like the states of blocks nicely. It's pretty much a block state is kind of just like a cover over it. Like it's over the top of it. You don't have to deal with integers. You deal with variables instead, and it's a lot easier to actually say you want to set a block facing in this direction. You don't have to specify for north, let's say it's north, you don't have to say I'm going to set the metadata to 0 so it's facing north. You can instead say I'm going to set the property to enum facing north, and it makes a lot more sense than typing out 0 instead. So that's pretty much a kind of what block states are. They just handle everything a lot better. So there's two methods here. One is get meta from state, and then the other one is get state from meta. So we have to convert between the both. Now in our case, this is going to be really simple because all we actually have to do here is for this get meta from state, we just have to do here state, so that's from the parameter, get value, and then get our facing value here. Now a good thing about this enum facing class is it actually has an index for our facing, and that is unique. So we're going to do get horizontal index, and as you can see here, gets the index of the horizontal facing 0 to 3. The order is south, west, north, east. So south would be 0, west would be 1, north would be 2, and east would be 3. So that's already unique. And then this one here, we want to convert it back to a state. So all we have to do is get default state. So we're pretty much getting what this was set up here, right? But what we're going to do is with property facing, and then luckily in the enum facing class there's a method here called get horizontal, and then all we have to do is pass in that meta value, and that's going to automatically convert it back into the state that we had up here. So that's really simple. If you have more than one property, so as you can see here, we got facing property. If you add another one in, like maybe you have something like is item, maybe you have like a property for like if there's a block above, you might change your render based on that, whatever. It gets a lot more complicated when you have to do this because you have to do some extra stuff, and I'm not going to go into it today. Probably won't in these tutorials. That's going to be up to you if you want to go further. Then lastly, we've actually got to say that this block has the facing property. So we have to override a method here called create block state, and then return a new block state container. The first parameter here is the block, say this, and then the values or the properties, and that is simply just facing. So this could be as many properties as you want, because this, as you can see, we've got a property array here that you can pass in. as the second parameter, so you can just keep entering your value, your properties in there. Now, one thing that will change because of this is your actual block state file. So if we actually go here, block states, and look at this, we've just got variance, normal, and then we're pointing to our model here. We've actually got to handle each of the facing directions. So we're going to create a new block state here, and this is going to be our registry name. So we're going to go back into block cheese here, copy that, just for a quick template. Inside of variance here, we have to define each direction, and we start by doing it the same as what we did before. So before it was just, this is the normal, but now we have to do facing and then equals. So when it's north, we want to set what that model is going to be. So inside of here we have an object called a model, and then that's going to lead to our basically our mod ID here, which is tutorial mod, I think. Let's just double check the other class here. Crayfish tutorial mod. I think, did I do CTM? Yeah, I must have. And then the model name. Now we don't actually have a model here, and and I think, did I put it in already? I think I maybe did. But we're going to say here our model is it's cheese maker. Then at the end here, we're going to do a comma. We're actually going to copy this line and then paste it 3 more times, like that, and then get rid of the last comma there. Then we need to change these for each direction, so east, south, and west. And we've basically handled all the horizontal directions now. And then, oops. Then we've got to save this now, so just go down to source, main, resources, assets, CTM, block states, and then call this your registry name, which mine is block cheese maker. And then just for organizational purposes, I'm going to align all those brackets there up, and it allows you to read the data a little bit easier. Now we're not done here yet, and we're going to run into a problem, and I just want to do it on purpose just to show you guys how you can actually fix it. And we actually didn't name that correctly, so let's just refactor that and put JSON on the end there. Now we're going to add our model in, and I think I already dragged it in before this tutorial, so let's go ahead and take a look at it. So we're going to be taking a look at the cheese maker here. So this is the model I created for it, and this is where we're going to be creating cheese inside of. So as you can tell, this kind of has a unique kind of model at the back here. This is kind of like an arm. It's at the back of the model here, and basically we want this to be like, if this didn't have a block state, it would always be facing north, this block. So we want it to make sure it's rotated in every direction. If I didn't have this arm here, I probably wouldn't care too much because everything in here is symmetrical. But because we have this arm at the back here, we need to make sure it's facing in the correct direction. Now you'll have to create a model for this unless you've actually got access to the source code. So my Patreons will be able to download this model and use it. But if you haven't, you're going to have to create your own. But it should be pretty simple. Just create something like this, like a container or something. Then what we're going to do is, I've already saved that, exported it, and then put it into our block models here. So that is our cheese maker. That fork I'll get into later on. Don't really want to get into that right now because it's for the next tutorial. But pretty much we've set up our variance here for each direction. We're going to go ahead and we actually need to add the block. This should be all familiar already. I'm not going to explain. actually going to get rid of this default parameter here and then just define it straight away. So we're going to do material anvil. Then we don't have to worry about putting in a parameter here for the material. Register it. Register the render. And pretty much good to go right now. So let's go ahead, load up the game. So I don't know why it's super duper laggy, but oh well, we're going to continue with this. So going to tutorial mod here. We haven't got an icon for it yet, don't worry about that. But if we place this down, we're going to crash. Now why did that happen? Now I actually don't know why that happened, so we're going to investigate here real quickly. And why did this have like a billion stacks? So I'm pretty much just taking reference to my furniture mod here. We got our property facing. Besides this, we're extending block, but that doesn't matter at all. Property direction facing. Setting the default state here, exactly the same. We just literally did exactly the same method there. Oh, maybe that's why. Whew, let's try this. Okay, I think I was doing something wrong. Placer. So we're going to call this entity living base. Placer dot get horizontal facing. That might have been the culprit. So let's load up the game again. So it should work now. It's looking like it. So we won't see any changes at the moment, but let's just go over here. It's really annoying with this. Oh, what the heck? Stuff ain't rendering. Stuff ain't rendering. I reckon it's this recording. This recording is definitely making stuff go weird. But as you can see, when I place this, none of the of these kind of things here are rotating correctly. But if you hover over them, you'll see that on the right side there at the bottom, the facing is changing. So basically what we can do now is rotate these models based on the direction they're facing. So they're all facing south at the moment. This one's correct already, so we just got to rotate this one. And auto jump should be off by default. Get that crap off right now. What were you thinking, Mojang? All these players that used space before don't want to use auto jump. So we need to rotate this one here 90 degrees, this one 180, and then this one 270. So this one here is the east one. So what we're going to do at the same time is go into our block state here. So for facing east, what we're going to do is rotate this model 90 degrees. So straight after our model definition here, do a comma, and then do y colon, and then 90. So that's going to rotate the model 90 degrees. For this one here, which is south, we need to rotate it 180. So south is y 180. And then I'm going to assume this one here is west. Rotate that 270. We're going to go ahead, press save, and then we don't actually have to reload the game here. You want to press F3T. And as you can see, the models are now rotated correctly. So we're going to get rid of them, and we're going to quickly fix up a bug here that you can see. So as you can see, it's X-raying into the ground there. That is again a simple fix that we actually solved in a previous tutorial. So go to block jar here, copy is full cube and is opaque cube, and paste that inside your cheese maker there, and save that. Reload the game. I'm kind of annoyed that the frame rate is very low, because it makes developing a whole lot more difficult when you're trying to work productively. And there you go, it is now fixed. Also quickly add a name to it as well, and probably add the icon as well to it. So let's go into our lang here, en.us, let's add a name to it. So it's tile.cheesemaker.name, and that's going to be cheese maker. Might name it something like correct terminology in the future. Then we need to give it an item model. So in our models.item here, we need to copy just the block cheese here, and then call that block cheese maker. Open that up, and then we're going to point this to block. Oopsie, no, parent. Parent is going to be cheese maker. Don't have to reload the game, I don't think. F3T. Seems like it still can't find it. Cheesemaker.json. Whoopsie, we forgot something. We have to put Crayfish. We forgot to put our mod ID at the start of the parent there. Try that again. And there we go, we got the model in our inventory now, which is pretty good. So that is going to end off our tutorial today for block states. Hopefully you guys learned how to create a directional facing block. Now again, if you want to get access to the source code, go ahead, pledge at least $1 on Patreon, then you'll be able to get access to everything that you see right here. So if you have any problems in your code, you can easily find what's wrong with them by looking at the source. But anyway, more tutorials are going to be coming. Next we're going to actually be rendering the fork that I mentioned at the start of this tutorial. And that is like a thing that's going to be inside of this our cheese maker here, which is going to turn when the cheese is actually being created. How awesome is that going to be? So it's going to be like your first kind of step to animation. But if you enjoyed this tutorial today, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button. I know these videos aren't really catered for the majority of the audience. They're quite specific people. They get low views. So make sure you guys hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you show your support. And I will see you guys later.